Hello. Yes, it's me. After the shave of the hair and of the beard. Now, uh, I decided to put a bit of time distance between the video from yesterday, where I recorded, I made a stream, a long one, uh, talking about my reaction as I was seeing it of the parade, of the. It was just I ended it just before the tanks start marching and all of that. But I was more interested in the reaction of the people in the chat, and it was magnificent. It it was a festival of a couple of honest people. I would say about 10%. A lot of trolls, a lot of trolls from trolls farms. You can recognize them. AI trolls. You can recognize them. Okay, some legitimate trolls, some legitimate MAGA people, and a lot of people just mucking this shit up. Okay, and I don't blame. But me, I decided to put a little time between me and that other video because even if I come out as this smiling guy, I like to think about things. Right? I don't like to have cold reactions, you know, out of the blue. I like to ponder on things a bit and not be too hasty in making my opinions. But nonetheless, I was pleased. There weren't too many conflicts. Okay, there was that situation of those two Democratic lawmakers that were murdered in Minnesota. I think that came out in the middle of my reaction. It was a bit sad. It's sad that someone would do such a thing. As I said often in my videos, in my streams, and as I say in my normal life, okay, outside of this little box, um, I don't believe in violence. Violence, it solves nothing. Violence may take care of a situation in that moment, but it won't solve it. Okay, and don't think that I have not had to be violent in some occasions in my life. Of course I have. Okay, me, you, anyone. And if anyone says, "Oh, I would never do this, I would never do that, I would never react this way or react that way," you're lying. As a human, we have to understand our limitations. Okay, and the difference is that I and others. Look, when I say I, you have to understand. I'm not saying I holier than thou. Okay, not that is really not my thing. But I do try to not react with a hot head. I try to relax, to think about things before I react. Just now, just this afternoon, with a family member, because of a situation, I reacted poorly. I cut myself short because my training, let's call it like this, kicked in, but my first reaction was not adequate. It happens to everyone. But as I was saying, this is the reason why, for example, I did not got online this morning. It just started to ramble. Water in a plastic bottle. Though, I know. I didn't have time to put it in another one. Uh, but as I was saying, I wanted to see. the parade, and that poor man sitting there. And I wanted to think and to react now that it's almost midnight where I live. And this is what I saw. Number one, I will just continue a part of what I said in the stream yesterday, that I really don't understand that the way Americans see the military, like if they were in a county fair. I don't understand it because you see, here we also have military parades. It's normal, okay? It's a way of the army to demonstrate their organization, their readiness, where our money is going. And in the 10th of June here, it was Portugal Day, there was a large parade, okay, in the city of Lagos, with the president, the government, generals, everyone, just in a small, in a small booth, or how do you call it, some stands and whatever, and then a lot of people watching it, and then the military, they pass by, special troops, marines, everyone, and they displayed their organization. And our army is also a professional army. Okay, we only have conscript, sorry, enlisted people. Sorry, that word is really hard for me. I don't know if it's because of being also a German speaker. Das ist nicht facile for me. But uh, they displayed the absolute readiness, that discipline. And if you like those types of sayings, for example, my mom, she likes it. She likes military things and stuff. Okay? If you like that type of things, it's a good display. But more than that, it's a way of showing the army to the citizen. Okay? So that the citizen knows those people are there also to defend the borders, to defend them, and as a part of our society. And that is it. And if you want to see how military machines work and whatever, you can go to a museum, for example, where we have a lot of museums, a lot of them also related to marine exploration, history, all of that. Okay, you can also, if you are interested in it, uh, the army does participates in festivals. It demonstrates their activities. For example, the ships, the submarines. Okay, all of that is available. You see, but most of this happens when you are a kid. Okay, for example, when I was a kid, I went to this type of things. We will go via the school. We will go. We would see the army facilities. We would go into ships, all of that. Okay, we would go to see the jets, the airplanes, transport airplanes, all of it. Okay, so it was a normal thing, and to this day, it's still the same. Okay, it's still the same. People, it's a normal thing for us, but I have never saw the way that the Americans do it. If what was on show is how you do these types of things. Okay, it was like I don't quite know how to say this, but you were acting like we do when we have a fair here, a county fair. Okay, and that is very common here. Okay, every major or larger town has a weekly day where they have a fair, and that fair is smaller or larger Sometimes it has attractions, like carousels, haunted houses, those types of things, okay? And most of it also, you can buy a lot of good produce. For example, the fair in my hometown is very good, okay? You can buy a lot of things. You can also buy, I don't know, clothing, you can buy some tech, a lot of things, okay? And it's a fair. And then you have the markets. The markets are inside the towns and where you can buy fresh produce, where you can buy a lot of things, okay? But markets, it's mostly in larger towns, okay? Usually the municipality capitals, okay? We are divided into what we call conselhos, which is about the county or whatever, and districts, which is the largest region. So usually the municipal town or city has a market with fresh produce and all of that. But even some smaller towns can have it. Okay, it's not that abnormal. We have a lot of things like that. But when we go to these fairs, larger or bigger, it's usually like that. Okay, families, people, walk around, buy something to eat, walk around. If they see something they're interested in, like an attraction or like not a shop, because it's not in shops, it's in tent. You go to the tent. No, we also have medieval fairs. Okay, so all of that, and you guys are walking around in the middle of those military attractions. You are acting like we act in those fairs, and I find that both fascinating and disturbing. Because you see, as I told you before, I don't like guns. I really don't, okay? But I know how to use them. I hunted when I was young. But then I decided that was just not for me. First of all, let me be clear. If I needed to kill an animal to survive, I would, okay? I'm not one of those uh, squirmy guys that say, "Oh, I would eat plants." No, I wouldn't eat bloody plants. If I can eat and I was in a situation in which I needed to hunt and kill an animal to eat and survive, I would do it. But early on, since the since I was really no, I got fed up with it. No, I did not felt sorry comfortable harming an animal, and I took no pleasure out of it. I did take pleasure, and I still do, of the pursuit, of following the animal, tracking him down. Yes, I can read tracks. Yes, yes, Americans. Yes, We also can do that here. Imagine that. Okay, you even learn it in the scouts. Okay, but to track the animal and then either draw the animal with my notebook, one of the few things I'm really good at, drawing, or taking a picture of the animal, whatever. And right now I haven't done it for a while because of the heat. I have not been feeling very well in the last 2 years, more or less, 2 3 years. But I even liked to take my bow. Yes, yes, I can also use a bow. I can even craft one. Imagine that. Uh, and I would just like to take my bow and follow an animal. Around here, usually it's rabbits, it's birds, it's how you call it, boars, and a couple of more animals. Okay, but I would just love, sorry, and I still do, to follow the animal or to simply be completely undetected in the forest. I like it. It you know, anyone that has done this and that likes it would understand this. This is why, for example, I like this free free green screen I have here of a forest. This reminds me a bit of the forests in my hometown that we still have some pockets of. But there is no such feeling as going into the middle of the forest and not hearing anything except the forest. The wind in the trees blowing, you know. My pagan side, it wakes up immediately. Okay. And it's such a peaceful feeling, and I love it. But to think that with hunting and killing an animal, no. Only if I was hungry and I needed to do it, I will do it. I can live off the land. I know how to fish. I know which roots are good to eat, which fruits are good to eat, which flowers are good to eat to quench your thirst, for example. I know my land. But as I was saying, this is something I really like. But let's go back to what I was talking about. First of all, the the army personnel, the only way I can describe their way of marching is sloppy. Now, I don't know if they were doing it on purpose, if they are not used to march and do that. I do know they were mocked by trolls in the internet, as Trump was. And I know some of you Americans will probably never see the news where that is that is being put on display. But I saw a French reporter, and the guy was almost laughing. He was trying to contain himself not to laugh, and it was laughable. Okay, I heard a commentary of someone saying that Trump has always wanted to do that since he saw Bastille Day. But you have to understand, France is not the United States of America. And the United States of America are not France. France also has a professional army. It has a foreign legion. It has nuclear weapons. It has jets. It has tanks. All of that. And more than that, France has a type of army that is very different from the United States of America. The United States of America has an army like Russia, and I know the Russians don't like it when we talk about it, but it's the truth. You have a mass army. What do I mean with this? You are both large countries with a lot of people, and you think you can win wars by just throwing people in. And then in the middle of all that, you have a couple of professional troops. For example, the Marines, excellent troop, okay? Excellent discipline. And and when I say this, please don't understand this as me saying, oh, you're worthless and what. No, I'm talking about professionalism in the sense of people that are always ready to fight. But not always ready to fight being in a barrack and put it in. For example, here, if you want to solve a problem, you will send what we call the fuzes, which is equivalent to fuzileiros, okay? Or you send the commandos. You send those people to solve problems. When those people are sent in, they are sent in to take care of business. Their only function is to either defend or destroy. Nothing in the middle. But the army, the regular army, it's different, okay? They are there, for example, to hold a position, to maintain peace, to be a part of a larger force of invasion or defense, whatever. Okay, so it's in this sense that I'm saying. And When you think about the French army, you have to think about an army. Imagine it's almost, instead of having, for example, 90% of regular troops and 10% of Marines, imagine having 70 or 80% of Marines and the rest regular troops. And if Europe needs larger armies, and we need it, we need it, yes. All countries are doing it. Portugal is doing it also. Our armies will always be in that style of armies. Because for us, an army has to be effective. And it's not an occupation army. Sending European forces to occupy, that's wrong. That is why, for example, when any, including Portugal, when we are a part of a peacekeeping force, we enter, the militaries go first, they clear up the things, then when everything is cleared up, you send in police-like type of troops. And we also have a militarized police force. So do the French. So do the Spanish, whoever. Okay. But what I saw, this is just to explain my position regarding those trolls that were mocking Mr. Mr. Trump online with the sloppy way of their troops marching. So, when I hear some Americans say, oh, they were doing it on purpose, they were protesting, I say, shut up. No, they weren't. Maybe they weren't prepared. Maybe the troops that were sent there have never done that type of marching, whatever. Which, if you don't know, I'll tell you what. Go online. My kitty keeps entering the room, opens the door, and then leaves. Okay. Uh, I'll tell you what. Go online and Google something like, for example, in YouTube, 10 of June 2025, Portuguese celebrations, something like this. Okay, and you might have or go to RTP1, our national state government, state news broadcaster. Okay, and you can see it and see how those men and women march, how they how a proper parade of a military is done, and it has nothing to do with those North Korean stuff. Okay, you will find it similar, for example, to a Chinese marching, French marching. Okay, but that is how a parade is demonstrated. What I saw, and I have to be honest, I fast forwarded because I had no patience for it. What I saw was the justice. I saw soldiers walking. I saw the tank squeaking. That was funny, okay? Especially the comments, okay? But I did not see an army marching, not even with the tanks. The tanks were just there to break roads, okay? I hope someone paid for the bloody roads. But I saw soldiers marching, just that. I did not see a parade. I saw soldiers marching. I saw some aeroplanes flying by. I saw empty bleachers, empty, half a dozen persons, and all of them seemed bored. I saw the president, he was bored too. I am certain he dozed off for a couple of times. I did not see any enthusiasm. I did not see any happiness. And it was only a triumph in the words of the magas and those crazy people in the chats. If you say this demonstrates any kind of American might, no, it shows weaknesses. And I'm sure the countries that really want to harm America saw those weaknesses. No, I'm not talking about Europe. I'm not talking about the UK. Okay, when I say Europe, forgive me. Okay, it's the EU. I'm not talking about the EU. I am not talking about the UK. I am not talking about Canada. I'm not even talking about, it's also in the EU, okay? Denmark and Greenland that have abundant reasons, like Canada, to wish the US harm. I'm not talking about any of those countries, any of those allies that the UK is turning into form, that the US is turning into form allies. I'm talking about the other ones. Fill in the blanks. Israel has just started a war, and I'm certain it did not get the US's okay. They just said, look, I'm going to do this. They did it. Your country is being endangered by this behavior. You are losing soft power at a rate not even not even the most pessimistic of persons would expect it to happen. And I know, no, look, you may solve a couple of problems. No? I heard that Mr. Trump has now determined that ICE cannot jail people in supermarkets or in farms or whatever. I heard of all that, but the damage is done. In other videos, it streams, I talked about how you about business and how you can't really have a business working at a month's notice. Okay, you cannot plan a business for a month, not even 6 months. Usually a year. Okay, you have to stock up. And there are some businesses that stocked up in products, and those products are quickly going away. And they are scrambling to find exporters. And those exporters, whoever they are, will want to have to deal with all the bureaucracy that now exists in the US. And the people, the companies inside of your country that are scrambling to get supply chains, they are going to pay for the tariffs. And then you are going to pay for those tariffs when you go to the supermarket and do your groceries. And it's not, look, and I'm not some kind of doomsayer, okay? I heard people screaming World War III when they knew Mr. Trump was going to have a parade. As you may recall, I said there is that risk of him doing something, but it would probably be nothing. Here it is, nothing. The autocratic way of governing continues. The gaslighting of people continues. And I just hope that he does not do something stupid like declare a civil emergency or whatever to bring in troops. Because if the amount of people that came out to protest, for example, in Boston, in New York, in Washington, D.C. itself, is a sample, and considering Americans like their guns so much, considering the state the army is in, I would be worried if I did something like that. And I want to also talk about something. I saw that sheriff, or whoever he was, you know, was too fat to be Clint Eastwood, talking about shooting people that protested. You spit at us, you'll get beaten and you get arrested. You do this, you get beaten and you get arrested. I mean, is that an adequate speech for a representative of the law? I'm just asking you, okay? Because around here it's not appropriate at all. You may have a senior police officer that will, in a TV interview or whatever, when they are talking about these types of things, that will say, "Look, if you break the law, we will not, we will not tolerate that you break the law. You will be arrested, or you will be detained. In this case, detained. We will have zero policy, for example, for driving under the influence of alcohol. Okay, all of this, man, absolutely normal. But I haven't, around here, I never saw a police officer saying things like, "You beat us, we'll beat you, and we'll then send you to the hospital and then go to jail." This is not normal, my friends. I think in another video I talked about how primitive the way American police acts is, and how untrained those persons are. You come to any country here in Europe, including the UK, okay, sorry, now I'm talking Europe, the continent. You come here, and any police force has a rigorous training. They train both, for example, the law, the way a police officer has to act, the way a police officer has to deal, for example, with rape victims, with children, with people with mental issues, and then they have the practical exams. Okay, and as I said in another videos, I had some training in the area. Okay, so I know how to subdue a person. I even know how to defuse a situation and talk with a person. And my uncle also, he was a cop. My uncle that is no longer with us, but he was a cop too. And he spoke about it and he taught me a couple of things too, like keeping quiet. And when I see the American police act, look, I understand that they may be fearful because the person that is sitting in the car may be armed. But there is absolutely no reason to detain a person with a knee in the neck, for example. And the way they grab people, they are not effective. Okay, I would not mess with a cop around here. They detain you, they throw you to the ground, and you're done, my friends. But the issue here is that first they talk with people. If the situation can be solved with words, it's solved. And then if it's time to act, they try to act in a way where no one is harmed, neither the police officer or the person. And then they measure the situation. And look, we have cases here where police officers are accused of, for example, for shooting or for doing having not done the proper having not had the proper reaction to a situation. And it's normal, okay? It happens here, it happens all over the world. I'm talking about the general aspect of the same. And to see that guy, look, I would look if it was here, I would ask him, "Who the hell are you?" If this was here, who the hell are you? I want to know who you are. I want your badge number. And if he tried to beat me up, I would beat him back. And given the way you react, I say you are very lucky that you don't find yourselves with a, let's call it, I don't like to use this term because it's so effing ridiculous, but an alpha male, okay? If you find yourselves confronted with a person that knows how to react and how to effectively defend himself, and I'm not a superhero, okay? I can also get beaten up. I don't even like to fight. But the issue here is this. Sometimes you Americans, your police officers get into trouble because instead of trying to diffuse a situation that can be diffused with a simple word, with a simple demonstration of power. Look, something as simple as this. Look, this is a small psychological thing you can do. A person is the police officer approaches a person that is nervous. There are a lot of things a police officer can do. Oh, I'm this and that. Put your hand in the shoulder, and you don't push the person. You don't do anything. Just grab it, and you don't let go. You show strength. Strength. You advance to the person. You talk with the person. You try to defuse the situation. And you have to act according to the situation, of course. If you have a lunatic with a knife, of course you're not going to approach and put a hand in his shoulder. Okay, that's mental. You tell him, drop that thing. Drop it. Come on. I want you to kill me. I don't want you to kill me, my friend. But look, I'm paying for the bullets in this bitch. Calm down. You want to know what is the first thing a police officer tells you here when you're in a traffic stop or whatever? Here and in most of Europe, good morning. And your proper answer is good morning. Then he tells you what he wants. If there's an issue, you solve it. If you have to go we call it blow the balloon, the the little apparatus to see if you're high or drunk. You blow the balloon. You show him these papers. Everything is all right. All right. Bye, officer. And you. And when I see a cop in the U.S., sir, stay inside of the car. Bring down your windows. And then you ask permission for the weirdest shit. Around here, if an officer stops you and he thinks there's a reason to search your car, he tells you, "Look, I'm sorry, I need to look into your car because of this and because of that." And you shut the hell up. Or you say, "Oh no, I don't want to." If you say, "No, I don't want you," you get searching the same. Because it's their authority. But they also have to tell you why. You don't get you don't get searched or whatever without someone telling you why. Simple as this. It's all a question of using our mouths. We humans, we did not develop large fangs, okay, and claws like some kind of beast. No, we developed our little minds. We became smarter, and we became smarter to spare ourselves the worry of having to engage in a constant violent reaction. This is why when people say that war is natural to humans, I will say this: no, war is not natural to humans. War is a consequence of human behavior, which is something completely different. So if you control human behavior, you can control the occurrence of wars. Look at Putin. Why the hell did he start a war against Ukraine? Because he wants his wet dream is the reborn, the rebirth, sorry, of the USSR. Because it was a great thing in his mind. Because he was an agent in East Germany and he was getting a good pay and he had a lot of people that feared him, and because it's the memory that he has when he was at the peak of his life. Everyone romanticizes a period of their lives. Everyone, even I, even you, everyone, and it's a different time. The older you get, it's a normal reaction, it's it's an abnormal, not normal reaction to persist in that idea of remaining when you peaked. But and Trump has the same problem. Mr. Trump has the same problem, I'm sure. And look, sorry, and look, when I talk about people, you have to understand I have no hatred for people. Okay, I dislike people. I dislike their actions. But to have hate for a person, you need to have some kind of emotional tie. And those people, for me, look, all of those magas that drop weird comments on my videos, or that drop weird comments when I work as a moderator in a couple of channels, okay, in this incarnation and in others, okay, but all of those people, they don't, if they think they are able to extract an emotion for whatever reason they think they need it, no, no. Why? Because, like I told you, remember that thing I told you about the Maha movement? No. My reaction is mine. Their words are their words. You can call me a son of a this and a son of that. It won't offend me. I will just tell you something like, for example, well, at least I know who my father is. Do you? I can come back with a comeback, and I can be cruel, and I can be evil, like anyone, like you that are listening to me. You also can be, but I chose not to do it. Too much of a hassle, too much of a waste of energy. I will take you down with facts. So, Americans, to the meat of the video. Your parade, because it's your parade, it did not honor your army. Your parade showed weakness. Your parade was described. These are not my words, but I will say them. But that is not what it was. What was described as an old man standing in an empty bleach, watching disorganized soldiers and a squeaky tank walking around. What can I tell you more? This is my opinion about it. I just hope that he does not take any rash decision. I hope your president goes golfing. And I hope he finds at least some people that are willing to go to his cabinet, some better people to work with him. Because I think at the by now by now, and I know he has his issues. I even think he might have some mental issues related to his age. After all, he's an old man. Okay, he's 79. Okay, he's not a chicken, fresh chicken, or how you well, how you. I don't recall that expression that you have. Okay, but I hope he gets some competent people. Okay, and I hope he rolls back a lot of these a lot of these measures that he's taking. But I have to tell you this, and I have also spoken about this. The bond is broken. Okay, that soft power, it's not coming back. It's not coming back. Why do you think Japan and Korea are making economic agreements with China? Because they know what is coming. And I don't want to worry my friends in Taiwan. Maybe someone from Taiwan is listening to me. But you should really consider getting your own army force. And I know you have a good army, but get a better one if you want to continue to exist as a separate nation from China. I don't think China will, and I say this with a lot of caution because it's 50-50. But I don't think China, at least for now, will try to invade. I don't think so. But it's 50-50 because all it takes is a shift of power in the Chinese party for a different person with a different opinion to come up and either convince the current chairman or someone else and invade. Okay, I think for now China is doing a thing that they are good at: waiting. All civilizations do it. Portugal does it. We're a small country. Sometimes we just wait out and see who is the biggest fish. It's a natural reaction. In China, even though it's a big country, it also has the same type of reaction. Let's wait. Let's see. When the time is right, we act. Remember that a lot of the Far East of Russia was literally stolen, let's call it, occupied in the 1800s, I believe. So Russia is getting pretty weak. Putin will probably I think, and I saw this in a Russian in a guy that he's exiled outside Russia. He was talking about it, and I don't agree with him in many things, but in this I agree with him that by fall Putin will either have a new draft and enlist more men, or he will find a way to make a peace deal and end the war. And given the recent attacks of the Ukrainians, I think he will consider to just make a peace deal. Again, if in the case of China it's 50-50, in the case of Russia, you never know what will happen. You never know. Because he's absolutely unpredictable. He's still flooding the West with propaganda, with trolls. He's still trying to cut cables of power of whatever he can in the sea. He's still sending his little boats, his little scientific missions, but he's still doing what Russia has always done ever since it became the USSR. I don't know what is the problem with it because by now Russia could be in a partnership with the EU, having a good and healthy economic relationship. It could have those 1 million men, I believe, that are dead, plus the 3 or 4 million that left the country, plus the dead generations that someone said that in 50 years Russia will have 90 million people. Okay, right now it has 140 million people, minus that 1 million that it's dead somewhere in Ukraine. It's just sad. Okay, just like it's sad to see a, a military parade with a tired man looking fat and tired, gazing upon soldiers walking, not marching, walking, in a squeaky tank. Sorry. Well, this video has gone long enough. Okay, I didn't want to make a stream. I just wanted to record it and put it out. And I hope to see you all in my next video. And I thank you very much for watching. And if you are an American, please be safe. Okay, and continue to protest peacefully. Continue to protest.